It's the middle of winter and you've decided to head to Scandinavia. Tell me what you were doing there.
Yeah, I've been joining the various countries when they've been having their ministerial meetings. So in Sweden and in Denmark as well. And been to Finland as well, but that was more of a coaching training type session.
So three things. I just wanted to check because the only pictures I've seen of you are outside enjoying the snow. But you were there, you were mentoring, you were training. Tell me a little bit, in fact, tell me first of all about Finland, because there you actually had a learning experience rather than going there to train.
Yes, indeed. It was a new experience for me. It was actually taking part in coaching training, group coaching. And for the first 3 days, so that's Wednesday to Friday, joining a couple of groups that have been going for at least a year, so they're quite far in their training. Joining the group and experiencing what it's like to be coached, and it was an interesting learning experience for me.
You say it's interesting. It's a principle then, because you're here as a trainer, part of your role as Ministerial Association at the Trans-European Division is to train trainers, to train leaders, to help ministers, to help the ministers, to help the elders.
Yes.
Are you now having to go back to square one and change everything you do?
I don't know about change everything, but at least thinking more about perhaps how training could be done. Generally what we do is we are going somewhere and we're teaching, and you have, in a sense, a somewhat passive student that's listening to a presenter. The coaching model is much more putting the emphasis of learning on the student themselves, that they are the experts in their own situation, and so it's pulling out of them the resources that they may have to solve whatever situations they may be in.
And that's kind of what you saw when you went to Denmark and they were presenting and discussing some of the challenges of being a minister when you've got lots of very, very small churches.
That's right. And so we worked through just a kind of 4-step process, looking first of all at what's going on in the church in Denmark. Instead of me coming and trying to tell them what they should or shouldn't do, they are the experts, they know what's going on the ground. So they identified what the challenges were first of all, and then thought of why was that the case. And then we got into the more creative part of, so what should be going on and how do we lead change so that takes place. And that was all generated by the ministers themselves. I was just kind of facilitating or coaching that process, which was quite exciting actually.
One final question, Patrick, because you've only been in this job for a short while. You were elected last summer, you took up the role in September. And you came straight out of pastoral ministry, albeit in a church at Newbold where there was a lot of administration, there was a lot of learning environment around you. But you've come into this role and you're now travelling around Europe and you're seeing different situations, some where churches are thriving, some where ministers are empowered and enabled and really doing well, other situations where you're finding it's a struggle. How are you finding it? How are you tackling it?
Yeah, I mean, in many senses, some of the ministers are pretty tired, feeling a little bit overburdened by needing to produce results and evangelizing and making sure the gospel is moving forward, etc., and all the pressures that brings with it. So one of the things that I'm doing at the moment is, as I'm going around, I've teamed up with Torben, who is our Health Ministries Director here at the Trans-European Division, and we're just trying to gauge, when it comes to burnout, just where our pastors are at. They're filling in a kind of anonymous questionnaire, and we're gathering in that information so that we can perhaps come up with some form of help for our pastors. It is one of the areas that is one of the emphasis for the Trans-European Division for these next 5 years, and we're trying to take that seriously, the health of our pastors.
So there will be more of that perhaps next time we talk together.
Yes, all being well, yes.
Patrick, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.